Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It's your friendly neighborhood PM with your top 3 market points of the week. Now, I know last week we said we were going to talk CPI, but the data came in relatively unchanged year over year, so I don't think we need to dig into the details on that. Instead, let's dive into 3 other market-moving events that happened this past week. Kicking us off at number 3 was the president announcing a 10% interest rate cap on credit cards. So the president came out and announced a credit interest rate cap of 10%. With a deadline to be enacted by January 20th. Now, this obviously has pretty wide sweeping impacts for everybody that uses a credit card, but mostly for major banks and credit card companies, those of which being like Citigroup, JP Morgan, Visa, MasterCard, obviously, as you can assume. Now, a lot of these major institutions did come out and say that could be very detrimental to the overall economy because this would essentially cut off credit to the vast majority of consumers and businesses and would then have to funnel them into more predatory loans and payday lenders to access credit. So some of those companies did take quite the hit when the news came across the tape and have since largely recovered, but are trading kind of sideways ever since then. At point number 2 was conflict continuing to escalate in Iran. So Iran has been in the midst of nationwide protests and revolts ever since an economic crisis struck the country in late December. Now, as a result of this, these revolts have been calling for regime change in the country and change in leadership. And as a result of that, the government has now gone about killing thousands of protesters in Iran, with the U.S. now threatening military action if the killings do not stop. Now, the president did come out and threaten military action, like I just mentioned, and Iran has now since pledged to stop killing protesters and capturing citizens. Now, right now, it's in a very tumultuous standing at the moment, but the hope is that these killings once again continue to stop. But this is a rapidly evolving situation, and the U.S. has mapped out targets should they need to take action if the escalation continues in the country. And as that evolves, we'll keep you posted here. And then finally, point number 1, it was earnings with Taiwan Semiconductor blasting off on a strong earnings report. So Taiwan Semi beat pretty much across the board and raised their guidance pretty much, way above analyst expectations, including on their CapEx guidance, which further lends credence to the AI demand continuing to be strong there. As you remember, Taiwan Semi is the leading global foundry when it comes to advanced computer chips. Now, as Taiwan Semi blasted off for around 5% in an intraday move that dragged a lot of the other AI and semiconductor value chain up with it, ASML hitting all-time highs as well. But that continues to show that the AI demand is strong and accelerating right now. Now, that does it for your top 3 points this week. Next week, we've got all eyes on earnings. They're really starting to kick off next week. We've even got Netflix reporting next week. But as those come in, we'll be a little bit more earnings centric like we typically are on that week's video. As always, that does it for this week's video. But if you have additional questions, please reach out to your financial advisor. And if you don't have one, please follow our link and we'll get you connected with one. But as always, please go out, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you the same time next week. Thanks again.